Hello everyone, and welcome back to the History of Humankind. In the last episode, we discussed the invention of writing through pictographs called cuneiform in the ancient Near East, as well as hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt, and the standardization of units of weight and measurement for the purposes of trade around 3500 to 3000 BCE in these areas. Today I want to delve into the beginnings of civilization, the world's first cities, which in itself is a quite complicated topic. There are scholars who would say that the true cradle of civilization is here along the Nile River in ancient Egypt, while others might say that it started in the Indus Valley in present-day India. But for our purposes, we are beginning with Mesopotamia, this area about here, corresponding to present-day Iraq. And the word Mesopotamia comes from the ancient Greek meaning land between the two rivers. Those are the Tigris and Euphrates, which run south and empty out into the Persian Gulf, what is today known as the Persian Gulf. And the reason that I want to start today with Mesopotamia, besides the fact that it was probably the start of agriculture and the invention of the wheel, as well as cuneiform, is because of the immense influence that Mesopotamian myths, religions, government structures, laws have had on present-day society. The culture and history of ancient Egypt was lost to the West for a long time. It was only really uncovered from the sands of the desert in the 19th century, and the cultures and religions of the Indus Valley were really inaccessible to the West up until about that time as well, the 19th century. Whereas Mesopotamian myths and religions, sometimes referred to as the Abrahamic religions, which about 50% of the world subscribes to, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they had their origins here. And the Old Testament in the Hebrew Torah or the Christian Old Testament, the Christian Bible, they refer to a Garden of Eden where God created the first man and woman, Adam and Eve. Scholars say that if such a place did exist, a paradise on earth, it was referring to this area about here where the two rivers were emptying out into the Persian Gulf, a land of plenty, a land of vegetation, in an otherwise pretty arid environment. Also, the story of Noah's flood has its origins in ancient Sumeria. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, which I mentioned in the last episode, the world's first epic poem written down on those cuneiform tablets. Gilgamesh was the proposed ruler of Uruk around 2600 BCE, and he talks of a cataclysmic flood. And the story of the Tower of Babel, the large structure reaching to the skies, it was probably based on the ziggurats of ancient Mesopotamia, these mud brick temples built inside the walls of Uruk. And finally, the first patriarch, Abraham, who, if such a man did exist, he would have come from the Ur of the Chaldees around 2000 BCE of the Chaldees, and he made the covenant with the one God, Yahweh, to migrate towards Canaan, but his birthplace would have been around here, Ur of the Chaldees. So as you can see, ancient Mesopotamia has had an immense influence on Western religions and on present-day society as a whole. In the next episode, we will discuss the world's first city, Uruk, which was founded about 3200 BCE, and then talk about the Akkadian Empire, the world's first empire, later on in the 3rd millennium BCE, and finally we will discuss Hammurabi's code from ancient Babylonia. All of these areas here, Babylon and Acadia, within this Mesopotamian region. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.